Hello, Marvina.
Hi, Renee. How are you?
I am well. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
You
I
can
see
see I
you.
took I took advantage of being outside again.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Looks
really
good.
like it. It's something about getting that connection to nature that
Yeah,
I'm really enjoying.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, definitely. I would do something outside, but I have just this little courtyard, right? Because I'm in a
Uh-huh.
condo.
Uh-huh.
And so there's so much traffic going right by my
Oh, okay.
gate.
Oh,
So
got
it
it.
would be, I'd be doing this all the time. Time out. Wait, wait. Let's get back to it. Yeah,
Okay, got it, got it.
yeah,
Understandable. Yeah, I've been working on my backyard this year and just I've been trying to make a comfortable space where I could
yeah,
just come out and listen. A lot of times I'll come out and listen to church online
yeah.
outside. And it's just something about being able to worship.
Yeah.
And, when I listen to my worship music, it's just something about, being connected to nature a little bit.
Yeah.
And we all know I'm only going to connect so much to nature. So this is about it. But
Yeah.
but it's something
Gosh.
about God's creation, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And being able to just look at I get a lot of hummingbirds in my
Oh, okay.
backyard.
Yeah.
And so being able to look at them and just, the flowers and just kind of like the um cycle of life, right?
Yeah.
And as the flowers die off and all that stuff. And just, yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
whole nother story for a whole nother time.
Yeah.
But
No, but you do get out into it's even though you're like in a neighborhood, there's a stillness when you're outside. There's something about it. Yeah. Yeah. So,
that that's exactly it. There
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is. And I think coming out in the mornings before everybody gets up and going, I think did I stall a little bit there? I think I had.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Looked
I
like we were
okay.
watching a Japanese movie. Yeah.
That's what Armand used to love. He always watched karate movies, and
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, but yeah, it's in the morning before everybody is up, and it's just so nice and quiet. And it's the stillness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I was younger, I had a great uncle and aunt that lived in Auburn,
Okay.
and they were going to be going on vacation. And they said, would you be willing to come and stay at our place? Well,
Mm-hmm.
I was fairly young and I had never stayed anywhere alone, so I was a little nervous.
Okay.
So I said, yeah, I'll come and do it, but can my grandma and grandpa come stay with me? And, I thought, well, it'd be nice for them, right? But in the mornings, they wanted their like these long irrigation type pipes, the water for sprinklers.
Okay.
They wanted them moved in the morning, and they had a cow, and so I would go out, like you say, just the freshness in the morning and the coolness, and I would get out there and I'd move all of the stuff. Well, this one morning, this cow decided to chase me, and I had nowhere to go except up on the fence and onto the barn, or up on, it's like a little shed on the roof so that I could get out of the pasture. And it was yeah, it was, I'm sure it was very funny to watch, but
Wow. Okay, a couple things. One,
yes,
so it just started chasing you, like you didn't do anything to the cow. It just started chasing you.
I was not tormenting it at all.
Okay, I believe you. I believe you.
Yeah. Hey,
The
hey
other
Cal, I
thing,
think I'm gonna go in and have a hamburger for lunch. Yeah.
but I don't know. I just see you in your younger years being a little, what's the word? Not rambunctious, but just kind of doing what you want to do.
A little spirited, maybe?
A little spirited.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why I was asking. You didn't like pull the cow's tail or something.
Yeah, yeah, nothing
The
like that.
other
Nothing like
thing
that.
is, if a cow were to run after me, oh my gosh, I would die. A
Yeah, yeah,
cow? Oh no, 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 no.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, it was quite a yeah, but getting up in the morning and going to that pasture and just it just
Yeah,
there was something about it. Yeah, just
yeah,
lovely. Yeah.
it is. It really is. It really
Yeah.
is. Oh yeah. So
Here we
all
go.
of that about my background, right?
I like it. I like it. Oh gosh. Uh, well, today's episode, episode 57, we decided to talk about we you and I met in the office a couple of days ago and we're kind of just chit-chatting and during the course of our conversation, you said this statement, who's in your ear? Because of some stuff that was going on and and I thought, what a good title for a podcast. So that
Uh-huh.
today's it's who's in your ear, and we're talking about. For me, when that struck me, it was kind of like we have so much negativity around us, but
Mhm.
as believers and faith walkers, we should have that joy. Not to say we're not
Right.
going to be concerned about things, but we still have the joy because we have the answer to all of the concerns that we might be facing, right?
Right.
We have the stability, we have the foundation. So there should be joy, but yet we find ourselves pulled into sometimes a lot of negativity
That's right.
because there's somebody in our ear, you know, and
Right.
and maybe not even not I don't think people come up to you and want to stir trouble a lot of times, but it's what's in their spirit. So when they
Right.
start getting in your ear, what does it do? It almost sometimes, if we're not careful, if you think about the spirit inside you, the spirit that you carry sometimes gets pushed way off to the side or almost
Hmm.
out because you're letting this
Hmm.
other negativity seep in.
Right. Right. I agree. I think that we don't give enough thought to, like you said, what we take in,
Hmm.
whether it's our circle of friends, social media. I think that's one of the dangers behind social media. Again, like I said, we know in social media, I do like social
Yeah,
media.
yeah,
Um, but I do think you have to be very careful because it's easy for people to give their opinion. And I don't know what it is about people giving their opinion when people can't see them, right? Because with social media, it's like it could be like a cloak of some sort,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You can hide your face and
right,
but that's you can't feed into the negative because sometimes that's what's coming out of their spirit, right?
right,
And
right,
I think that and it's hard for us, first of all, words have great power.
right.
And so we have to be careful of what we're taking in.
Hmm.
And sometimes those negative thoughts, those negative opinions, we start to allow that to, like you said, seep into our spirit and become part of who we are, or
Hmm.
who we are for that day. um I call, and then some people are just, we all have different walks of life. For some people, their norm is chaos,
Yeah, yeah.
so which is why that negativity is in their spirit,
Hmm.
and we forget about that. I That's what I call the vortex. you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
it sucks you in, and
yeah,
it drains the life
right.
from you. It goes back to kind of the music we talked about, Motown, our last episode, and kind of the power of music. Same thing. What
Right.
we watch, what we listen to, that's in your ear. It's not just a person, you talking to. So we do have to be careful about what is being spoken to us, because I
Right.
think again, we minimize the power of words,
Hmm.
which is why God tells us that we have to mind our tongue because it's
Yeah,
very powerful,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah. What is that scripture? Life and death is
Are
in the
it
power of it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
And it's very, very true. you
Yeah.
know? And so yeah, you got to be careful of who's giving you advice. Who are
Yeah.
you talking to about your issues? And sometimes, now I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I want the I feel that I call it I want all the smoke today.
Yeah.
Meaning, whatever you gonna bring, I'm gonna give you that same spirit back. But sometimes, and what I'm saying with that is, I know that negativity is coming, and I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you that same energy. But what we need to do is remove ourselves,
Right.
and we need to seek the counsel of God. And sometimes it's easy for us to go to people who we know are going to say what we want them to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get in this thing sometimes is where I know I should be talking myself off the ledge, but nope, I'm just staying here today, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got to be careful of that because you can
Yeah.
get pushed over. You
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And as you're going down, it's like, how'd I get here?
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we do have to be careful of the voices we hear and sometimes the voices we listen to.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, God tells us all through his word to seek godly counsel. That's what that's about,
Yeah.
because the words that are going to be spoken to us, the advice that we get, it's going to change our spirit. It resonates with our spirit, and it's also going to, which that's going to push us to handle things in a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as we were talking at the office the other day, you brought in again, you said it's a spiritual warfare.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't think of it in terms of that, but
Mm-hmm.
if somebody comes to you and they have negativity in their spirit,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's again, if you're looking at it from a spiritual warfare context, okay, you've got negativity. That's who's that from?
Right.
It's not from Sally Sue here, just alone. She might,
Right.
but Satan is very good at getting his agenda into our spirits without us really kind of even noticing it
That's
sometimes.
right.
We just think that we're kind of, yeah, you're right about that. And we
Right.
get all riled up and going down pathways that we probably shouldn't. It's not
That's
going
right.
to help our spirit at all,
Right.
and certainly is not going to help the spirit of the negative person.
Right.
Just allows them to stay in the negativity, you know.
That's
Uh,
right.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
God tells us, my sheep listen to my voice.
Mm-hmm.
I know them and they know me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to be conscious about what we're listening to, who we're listening to.
Yeah, yeah.
The person that we're taking advice from, how does their walk align with God?
Right, right.
Because again, it's about the spiritual battle. Everything, every conflict, it's all about fighting in the spirit, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's easy for us to it's easy because we just get pulled in. I do all the time anyway.
Yeah,
um
yeah. No, it's
into
true.
the
Yeah,
physical fight of it, and
yeah,
it's a losing battle because you gotta fight it spiritually.
yeah, yeah,
And so, and even in your everyday walk, that what who you're listening to is going to affect the way you're walking through your day,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Absolutely,
You've been
absolutely.
around people who all they speak is negative. And sometimes we wonder why, but that may be because they're all they take in is negativity.
Right, right.
And I think just in, different experiences in life, we've all had different experiences in life. Some of us may have even been brought up in families where all you hear is negativity.
Right, right,
So then that becomes part of who you are. You don't even realize that,
right.
until you start uh, comparing it to the word of God or allowing the spirit of God to really direct you, get into and allowing God's spirit to get into who you are, because then those things come up. The Spirit of God will send, he sends us these red flags like, I'm
Yeah.
not sure we just could, I'm not sure. I'm trying to finish my thought before I go on to something else. But, we're like, the Spirit of God will tell us,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really good advice, but we choose sometimes
Right.
to align with that.
Right.
No, and so
Yeah.
that spirit of discernment, God gives us the spirit of discernment. And that's why there's so much information, and especially in this day and time, there's so much information that is being thrown at us a lot of times.
Right. Right.
And the only way you can decipher and sift through that stuff is by allowing the Spirit of God to lead you. But we have to fortify ourselves so we can do that,
Right.
and then take in. Sometimes it's funny because I can tell when um I've been taking in things too much of some
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that may not really align with what God is wanting me to align with.
Yeah.
And my whole, and I have to pay attention. And sometimes I'm like, why am I feeling so heavy? Or why am I just not wanting to do? And then I really think about it and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm ingesting too much of um what God is not sending my way, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It goes back to staying in your lane. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Exactly.
Sometimes you get pulled out because your intention, the spirit is saying, hey, that ain't normal, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see a situation, or you're dealing with a situation, or you have family or friends that are dealing with a situation, and everybody else is acting like this is normal behavior, and you're like, that ain't normal.
Yeah.
But sometimes we keep ingesting that, we
Right.
get sucked in, and
Yeah.
then we become part of the problem,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah. If you think about it, what God gives us to chew on is to uplift us, right? To
right,
lighten the load. If you think about
right,
what Satan is bringing our way, it's like, here, gnaw on this rock or this boulder, right?
right.
And what is that going to do? Like you said, it's going to weigh you down.
It's gonna
If
weigh you down.
that's what you're ingesting, it's going to weigh you down. So,
Right.
one of the things that I thought about was Philippians 4:8,
Okay.
uh, where we're instructed, whatever is pure, lovely, commendable, anything of
Yes.
excellence, think
Think
on
on these
these
things.
things.
That's right.
So I think we can actually make a list. I mean, if we had to do a side by side, write down the things that are bothering us, you know.
Right.
Is it irritation? Is it, frustration? I just had a situation at work. I have retired, but I go in to volunteer once in a while. But there was a very
Who does that? I just want
uh
you to know who volunteers. I'm just kidding, but it
I
wouldn't be me, but I get it.
yeah,
I'm just giving you a hard time, Renee.
I
I'm sorry.
oh, that's all right. That's all right. These allergies are killing me. I do it just so I can come in and see you. You know that, right? Um, but my career ended badly with one person. Everybody, I got along with everybody and
Okay.
did with this person most of my career,
Mhm.
but ended badly.
Okay.
And so even during the volunteer portion, there was still a lot of animosity toward me, and I decided before I left my position, I was going to just write a little letter,
Okay.
say, here's what my frustrations are.
Okay.
And I did. And it was kind of like, uh, here's what you've done. Here's what, and I had it all ready to go. And I started thinking about it, and I had somebody read it with me, and I started thinking about it. And it's like, what am I trying to focus on here? You know, instead of
Mhm.
looking at the 200 people that I got along well with and left
Right.
behind. I'm looking at this one thing and I'm letting that frustration really
That's right.
dominate my heart.
Hmm.
And so the day before I was ready to give it to this person, I thought about that and I thought, what is the motivation here? And it was frustration. I
Mhm.
had let the voice, nobody in particular, but I think just Satan,
Right,
the voice, oh, she
right,
treated you bad. Oh, you know, and that's what I wanted to say in that letter was all the ways you treated me bad.
right.
And so I had to look at that and go, okay, if frustration is my motivation, that's not from God. So I
Hmm.
rewrote it and I basically said, I forgive you. I forgive you
Mm.
for the things that made it difficult at the end and, kind of left it at that.
Okay,
Um, but it was like, okay, that I think that was a big lesson for me
okay.
as far as who's in your ear.
Hmm.
Because that, again,
Hmm.
that was just what was being poured into my spirit about this was
Hmm.
frustration.
Yeah.
And what it should have been was
Hmm.
just forgive, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, sometimes we have to filter the noise.
Yeah.
We have to filter all the noise. And the noise can be an inner noise, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
negative things that we've experienced with someone or in a situation,
Right.
right? And I think it's also important. One of the things you said is you had to look at what your motivation was.
Right.
And I think that that's what we have to do often is look at the motivation. Look at why am I feeling this way? What is it that's bringing me so much angst or so much?
Hmm.
And like you said, you had to get to the root of it, which was frustration, right? You were
Right.
frustrated in the just the whole situation, how it's going, how I'm trying to articulate one thing, but you're taking it another way. That's not my intent. You know what I'm saying? It's the
Right.
frustration. And so I think that's an important part of it.
Right.
So let me ask you this question.
Okay.
So do you think, so writing the letter and saying that to this person, I forgive you, do you think, what am I trying to say here? What do you think that will do with that person? The person that you gave this letter to, by
Uh,
letting them know that I forgive you.
yeah, and they were aware of the treatment. It
Got
wasn't
it.
like they were,
Okay.
had no clue of what was going on.
Okay.
Uh, there had been some contact trying to resolve the issue
Okay.
on my part, and it was just not accepted. So
Okay.
I don't know. I think it might, hopefully, my hope is that that person might just look at it and go, oh gosh, um, maybe they think I shouldn't have done that or I shouldn't. So I wasn't doing it to teach them a lesson, but
Right.
maybe out of it they're going, "Oh, yeah, that maybe that didn't help the situation," or you know what I mean?
Got it. Got it. Okay. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I was trying to get to because for our listeners, sometimes, right, they don't know the whole
Yeah.
um story. And I find sometimes with people of God, and that's why I wanted you to articulate why you did what you did. But
Yeah.
sometimes to me, those things are used almost as weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And so that's why I wanted you to articulate a little bit about why you chose to just let them know I forgive you. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there was definitely an understanding on both sides of what had transpired and
And how they
so
were initially handled and all of that.
right, right. And I
Right.
had to look at that and I had to ask myself, is this bitterness?
Right.
Um, are you trying to retaliate? Are you trying
Right.
and I really had to peel the onion, so to speak, get down
Yes.
to what was it? It was frustration.
Right.
because here I'm leaving a job where I'm liked by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But this one person, it's almost like you feel like you've got to uh, resolve that or make that right. And it's like in this situation, there was no making it right.
Right.
So I just had to say, I forgive you for,
Right.
you know, um, but I had to realize too that even though I tore it all down and it came down to frustration,
Mm-hmm.
frustration has friends,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So while I don't believe I was carrying any bitterness or resentment,
Mm-hmm.
it could have looked like there was bitterness and resentment from to somebody
Mm-hmm.
from the outside,
Right. Right.
right? So I
Right.
had to kind of really think about that. And then I thought about with the scripture, whatever is commendable. Well,
Mm-hmm.
saying, okay, you know you hurt me, I know you hurt me, but I'm just going to say I forgive you. It's as simple as that,
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
had to, uh, and it was a humbling moment. There's this part of you
Mm-hmm.
that just wants to, you need to admit to me what you did was wrong,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so that came back, and I think when we spoke about this the other day,
Mm-hmm.
you said, well, that's kind of staying in our lane, and it's like, oh, don't throw episodes up at me. I don't want to hear that. But it was true.
Right.
I'm not the uh, spirit of conviction,
Uh-huh.
you know, and so
Uh-huh.
I had to just kind of go, okay, this
Yeah.
is what I know I can do. I can say,
Yeah.
with all this ugliness, I forgive you.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I do think, the human side of us, we're human, right? We're flesh and bones. And we get caught up. And isn't it funny? You mentioned this before. You mentioned it at kind of at the beginning of the episode, and then you just mentioned it again. Isn't it funny how so you have all these people you've had positive interactions with, and this one person
Hmm.
we will allow sometimes to steal our joy,
Right.
and we will allow it, but it goes back to the noise, right? That
Right.
negative noise it's like a battering ram sometimes, right? When it as far as all the other experiences that we have, all the other noise, the
Right.
peaceful, the joyful, that negative, it can slam through, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think, but what's important, the important part is that we reflect on, okay, God, where is my heart in this?
Right.
And
Right.
let me correct that,
Right.
because we don't realize how getting sucked in, we're trying to control the situation,
Right.
and we
Right.
can't, right? And
Right.
and I think it goes also back to the word of God. God tells us, one plants the seed, one waters, and God will give the increase, right?
Right.
Sometimes some of the situations that we're in and God allows us to experience, sometimes it might be just planting the seed. And we always see planting the seed as this wonderful experience, right? But it
Right.
might not be,
Right. Right.
you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
I gotta fight bugs and all kind of stuff when I come out to plant my little garden, my little herbs and my little
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I'm saying? And a lot, people that know me know I am not an outside chick. But what I'm saying is, because I know I want that garden, it's some
Yeah.
stuff I'm gonna have to fight through, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I can't let, because I had experiences with bugs, the harvest is gonna be worth the small inconveniences that I might have to go through, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it goes back to, sometimes we don't understand why God has us to do what we do, or even why God puts certain people in our lives, why God puts us in certain people's life, but we have to continue to peel back the layers when those conflicts arise, or when those things arise. I mean, like, you were on your job, what, 43 years? Is it 40?
37, 37.
Oh,
Yeah.
37 years.
Hmm.
So one experience, you know what I'm saying? How
Yeah.
we can allow one experience to taint the 37 years of joy that we have. But I think sometimes that comes from because of our expectation, because you haven't had to deal with that with on that level to that extent
Right, right.
with someone. It's hard to let it go and just focus on this over here. So
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
it goes back to the, okay, Lord, let me just get in my lane. I don't understand it, but
yeah,
I'm gonna just get in my lane.
yeah.
As we speak about that, I want you to know that I have slowed down my driving and I have been paying more attention to the
Ooh,
warning signs.
for you. Oh gosh, that's funny.
That is funny. But even tying into, bringing that kind of talking about that episode, we got to look at the warning signs, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes we fight it though. We're like, God, nope, that's not it. I could
yeah,
do, so,
yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Because what was in my ear?
What
It
was
was
in
like,
your ear?
you know,
Mhm.
did you know how she treated you?
Right,
That wasn't right. It was a
right.
constant, and I lost track of that because, like you say,
Yeah.
it's a battle spiritually
Yep.
every day,
Every day. Yep.
and we've got to keep in mind, okay, who are we listening to, and what
Mm-hmm.
comes out of it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I finished my thought earlier, but if you have to sit down and write a list
Yeah.
of what's going on, and is it okay, is this something that God puts in our spirit, or are we
Right.
treading on the boulders that
Right.
Satan's throwing our way and it's weighing us down?
Right.
So
And I think in society we're so self-focused,
mhm,
right? So it's always about what people are doing to us.
yeah, yeah,
That we automatically go to, you're making me feel uncomfortable, and you know what I'm saying, and we just have to be careful that we don't become the focus, instead of what is it that you want me to do in this situation, how do you want me to handle this, or you know
right, right,
how do you want my mere presence to affect somebody. And sometimes I think also we have to remember, because we are the light of the world, everybody's not going to like us.
yeah, yeah,
And that is difficult sometimes because of our intent. Our intent is not for, we want to see the best in everyone. We want the best in everyone, but sometimes people don't want that for themselves. And
right,
so we can't force them, right? But our frustration comes in because we're like, don't you get it? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But they don't
exactly,
sometimes. And there will be those people that God allows to um be in our life that don't necessarily mean us for good. You know what I'm saying? Um because we're Christians and we follow the teachings of Christ, sometimes I think we get mixed up with, although we should love everyone, everyone is not going to love us.
right, right. It's not going to be reciprocal a lot of
It's
times.
not going to be reciprocal. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
And then that's when you just got to walk away,
right,
go back to your lane,
yeah,
and then God has to deal with them. But it's very easy though. But it's very easy to lose that focus. And I think that's why God talks so much about the spiritual warfare, because it's not natural.
yeah,
We're physical beings. So it's not natural
right,
to
right,
recognize that's what's going on here.
right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And what you said earlier, we all want somebody else to take the accountability,
Mhm.
but what about our accountability?
But what about our accountability?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
funny because so my dad sent on our, we have a family text. And so one of my dad sent something on our family text, and it was a little kind of a little, I guess, a poem or whatever that kind of struck me. And so what it says is, We blame little things in others and pass over great things in ourselves. We are quick enough in perceiving and weighing what we suffer from others, but we mind not what others suffer from us.
Mm-mm. Oh, wow.
And that was Thomas A. Kemp. But yeah, it just made me think. And again, it goes back to the scripture: take the plank out of our eye before we can take a speck of sawdust. I think
Yeah.
that's summarized. But my whole point with that is that, and not that we don't look at ourselves, but sometimes it's easy to miss what God is doing with us. He may be doing something with them too, but he's
Yeah.
also doing something with us.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad though that you were able to um because the resolve that it sounds like the resolve that you got is, God, I'm gonna let you handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. It released my spirit to, like you say, put it in God's hands. Whatever he
Yeah.
does with it is,
Right.
up to him. But yeah, it was like I had to release it. So
Yeah.
it was a good, after we had talked that day in the office and you had said that, who's in your ear, it was a good reminder to me
Mm-hmm.
that, like you say, we can get caught up in the negativity so quickly where we're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be focused. He says, think on the things that are
Yeah.
commendable. And so, I had to redirect myself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, good,
yeah.
good,
So,
good.
so there we go.
So there we go. So I would. So the word I have, or something that I want to leave with, our listeners is, like you said. So who's in your ear now?
Mm,
Who's in your ear now?
right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, exactly. So, and then I just thought of Psalm, if you struggle with that, how do I resolve this? Psalms 51:10 is a scripture I like.
Okay.
Create in me a clean heart,
Yes.
renew a right
I
spirit in
spirit
me.
in me. Yes.
Pray that prayer. Just if
Right.
you have to do it every day, if you have to do 10
Yeah.
times a day, just ask him, just create in me
Right.
that clean heart
Yeah.
and renew the spirit that I need to have.
Right. And that is a daily thing that we need,
Yeah.
because again, it goes back to, we're human.
Yeah.
And so daily, and that's the wonderful thing about God's grace. If you ask, he'll do it. Renewing me a new heart, God.
Yeah.
Renewing me a
Clean heart.
clean heart.
Yep. Yeah.
Renew in me a clean heart, God.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, renew my spirit. Just, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a good prayer to have. So,
Yes.
yeah. So, all right.
Well,
I have one question for you before we wind up. I know it's probably heating up in your backyard, so I'm going to let you go, but I do have a question for you. So, I said 37 years and you said, oh, 43 years that I've been there. Did it seem like 43 to you? Was it that time?
no,
Did
I
it
don't
seem
know
like,
why I'm thinking 43. I thought I read that, but maybe I don't. I, what about, how long has Glenda been?
she's
Um,
been there 47 years.
okay, so I think maybe I kind of mixed it
Yeah.
up.
You're going,
But
oh
I
man, is that all it's been is 37? Whoa, seems like a lot
no,
more.
no, and I haven't even been there 37, but I think I'm like maybe 26 or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
But no, but I knew that you were there when I came, and you have been there. In your face, Renee. Yeah, I don't know. I must have read that about someone else. Oh, that may have been my program manager,
Okay.
Cynthia. Cynthia, if you're listening to us, I think maybe she had been there 43 years, and I just mixed it up. Hey, we already know I'm not a spring chicken, so it's bound to happen. That's what I do these days. I just blame it all on my age.
There you go. There you go. Oh my goodness. So,
Well, with that, oh yes,
yeah, that's
oh,
it.
I thought you were going to ask me another question.
No, I'm just calling you out on
Okay,
how
got
hard
it.
it is to work with me.
On my you were calling me out on my senior moments.
No, just on how hard you let it out of the bag. My goodness, it's hard working with this woman.
No, I've always, like I say, it's and that goes back to the who's in your ear. I think that how we became connected was just things we were going through at work, and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. And once we got to know each other, I think our spirits, ooh, my little table here, our spirits were drawn to each other, but that played a big part too. Our lunch talks and our conversations,
Yeah.
it played a big part in how I handled things at work, or how I went about things. And that, again, just bringing it back around, that's why it's important who's in your ear. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because there's things we could have had. We would discuss certain things, and I just appreciate and I thank God for giving me the spiritual connection that He has with certain people, even at work in my daily. Because some days you be like, okay, God, again, I'm ready for all the smoke today. But I'm not.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Well,
all right. Well, that's what I've got.
That's what I've got.
Okay.
You enjoy your afternoon.
Okay, you as well.
And we'll see you in a few weeks here.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.